Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin in my hedge fund. I own Bitcoin in my fund, in my private account.
$10,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years.
Currency for the future.
Well, I think it is working. There will be other currencies like it that maybe even better.
Welcome, family, and thank you for tuning in this week to Crypto King for your weekly news and updates and everything regarding crypto. On today's episode, we'll be discussing what is a blockchain. A blockchain is multiple blocks of information, in short, and these blocks can contain any type of information. They are placed in chronological order, whether it's in the front or the back, and if any of this information is changed, amended, or updated, then a new block is formed. All right, this information is also secured. It's secured because it's placed in a digital ledger. In short, that's what a blockchain is. However, there's a variety of networks that store and tracks the value of this information. And examples of this type of information used in a blockchain include food supply chains, financial information, or medical information. So now we'll just go ahead and take a deep dive into exactly what a blockchain does, how it works, and what types of blockchains there are to help you with your gathering of knowledge in this cryptocurrency space. Let's take a look at this clip and find out what exactly is a blockchain.
Ever wonder if there's an easier way to complete transactions without having to deal with online wallets, banks, and third-party applications? Well, it's possible thanks to blockchain. Here's everything you need to know about blockchain. Imagine 4 friends, Jack, Ted, Sam, and Phil, meet up for dinner. After they're done, Jack pays the bill, and all of them decide to split the expense amongst each other. Now, on the next day, when Phil sends his share to Jack via online money transfer, the transaction goes through without a hitch. Then, Ted and Sam send their respective shares to Jack, but their transactions don't go through. The failed transaction cites some issues at the bank. That's when Jack comes to know about the many ways a bank transaction could fail. It could be due to technical issues at the bank, one of their accounts were hacked, daily transfer limits being exceeded, and sometimes additional charges, like transfer charges, associated with transferring money. To solve these problems, the concept of cryptocurrency came into existence.
What is a blockchain? Well, here we have a blockchain overview. And a blockchain defined is a shared immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets in a business network. An asset can be tangible, such as a house, a car, cash, or land, or intangible, like an intellectual property, patents, copyrights, or branding. Virtually anything of value can be tracked and traded on a blockchain network, reducing risk and cutting costs for all involved. So why is blockchain important? Well, business runs on information. They're faster and it is received, and the more accurate it is, the better. A blockchain is ideal for delivering that information because it provides immediate, shared, and completely transparent information stored on an immutable ledger that can be accessed only by permissioned network members. A blockchain network can be tracked by payments, accounts, productions, and much more. And because members share a single view of the truth, you can see all the details of a transaction from end to end, giving you greater confidence as a efficient with the opportunities. So this is an overview of the blockchain and how it works. And let's take a look at the next video here on more explanation of what a blockchain is and how it works.
Cryptocurrencies are a form of digital or virtual currency that run on a technology known as blockchain. Thanks to blockchain, cryptocurrencies are immune to counterfeiting, don't require a central authority, and are protected by strong and complex encryption algorithms.
Here we see there are 4 types of blockchain networks. Okay, public blockchain networks is one that anybody can join and participate in. And a good example of a public blockchain network would be Bitcoin. You can see there some of the drawbacks to include some computer power that's required. There's no privacy for the transactions, and there's weak security. These are some of the things that are being ironed out. But however, this is what happens on a public blockchain network. A private blockchain network is a network similar to a public blockchain network, but it is decentralized, meaning it's peer-to-peer, meaning the transactions that takes place on this private blockchain network is from me to you. And however, there's one organization, that governs the network and controlling the parties that participates to execute a consensus protocol and maintain this shared ledger. So depending on its use case, this can significantly boost trust and confidence between the participants on a private blockchain network. And all private blockchains can be run behind a corporate firewall and even be hosted on premises. The third type of blockchain network that we have is a permissioned blockchain network. Now, this blockchain is for businesses who set up a private blockchain, and this would generally be set up by a permissioned blockchain network. It is important to note that the blockchain network can also be permissioned. These places restrictions on who is allowed to participate in the network and in certain transactions. Participants need to obtain invitation or permission to be able to join this type of blockchain network. And the last type of blockchain network that we have is a consortium blockchain, and multiple organizations can share the responsibilities of this or maintaining this particular blockchain, and these pre-selected organizations determine who may submit transactions or access the consortium blockchain, and it's ideal for business when all participants need to be permissioned and have shared responsibilities for the blockchain. So these are your 4 types of blockchain networks. Now, how does a blockchain actually work? As each transaction occurs, it's recorded on a block of data. These transactions, they show movement of an asset that can be tangible, as we stated earlier, or intangible. The data blocks can record the information of your choice: who, what, when, where, or how much, or even the condition, such as the temperature of the food shipment that you did on the supply chain. Each block is connected to the ones before and after it. So that means that any information on the blockchain that is created will be placed before or after in chronological order. Transactions are blocked together in an irreversible chain, a blockchain. Now, each additional block strengthens the verification of the previous block, hence the entire blockchain. These renders the blockchains tamper evident, delivering the key strength immutability. This removes the possibility of tampering by a malicious actor and builds a ledger transaction that you and the other network members can trust. And down below, we see here a picture of a blockchain transaction. Here we show some key elements of the blockchain. We have a distributed ledger technology, and this is all network participants have access to the distributed ledger and an immutable record of the transactions. With this shared ledger, transactions are recorded only once, eliminating the duplication of effort that's typical of traditional business networks. The next key element we have is the immutable records. No participant can change or tamper with the transaction after it has been recorded to the shared ledger. If a transaction record includes an error, a new transaction must be added to reverse the error, and both transactions are then visible. And the third element of the blockchain here is smart contracts. To speed transactions, a set of rules called smart contract is stored on the blockchain and executed automatically. A smart contract can define conditions for corporate bond transfers to include terms for travel insurance to be paid and much more. So these are some of the key elements that you will see as a part of a blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Let's go back to our previous example and have Phil, Ted, and Sam send Jack 2 bitcoins each as their contribution to the previous night's dinner. Let's assume Phil, Ted, and Sam have 3 bitcoins in reserve, while Jack has 5. First, Phil sends 2 bitcoins to Jack. A record is created in the form of a block. The transaction details between them is permanently inscribed in this block. This record also holds the number of bitcoins each of the friends own. So, after Phil's transaction, Jack has 7 bitcoins, while Phil has 1. Following this, Sam and Ted send 2 bitcoins to Jack. A new block is created for each of these transactions. These blocks hold the transaction details as well as how many bitcoins Sam, Ted, and Jack have in reserve. These blocks are linked to each other, as each of them takes reference from the previous one for the number of bitcoins each friend owns. This chain of records, or blocks, is called a ledger, and this ledger is shared among all the friends, which acts as a public distributed ledger. This forms the basis of blockchain.
Here's some of the benefits of the blockchain. Now, we see that we gain greater trust. So it says or states here, with the blockchain as a member of the members only network, you can rest assured that you're receiving accurate and timely data and that your confidential blockchain records will be shared only with network members to whom you have specifically granted access. We also gain greater security. A consensus on the data accuracy is required from all network members, and all validated transactions are immutable. Because they are recorded permanently, no one, not even the system administrator, can delete a transaction. And last, we see we are more efficient. With a distributed ledger that is shared amongst the members of the network, time wasting for reconciliations are eliminated, and the speed of the transaction set rules called smart contract can be stored on the blockchain and executed automatically.
Every user in the Bitcoin network has 2 keys, a public key and a private key. The public key is an address that everyone in the network knows of, like an email address of a user. The private key is a unique address that only the user has knowledge of, something like a password. First, Phil passes the number of bitcoins he wants to send to Jack, along with his and Jack's unique wallet address through a hashing algorithm. All of this is part of the transaction details. These details are encrypted using encryption algorithms and using Phil's unique private key. This is done to digitally sign the transaction and to indicate that the transactions came from Phil. This output is now transmitted across the world using Jack's public key. With this, the message or transaction can be decrypted only by Jack's private key, which only Jack has knowledge of. Different cryptocurrencies use different hashing algorithms. While Bitcoin uses the SHA-256 algorithm, Ethereum, which is also a famous cryptocurrency, uses one known as Ethash. This transaction and several other similar ones are taking place all around the world. These transactions are validated and then added block by block. The people who validate these blocks are called miners. For a block to be validated and added to a blockchain, miners need to solve a complex mathematical problem. The miner who solves this first adds the block to the blockchain and is rewarded with 12.5 bitcoins. The process of solving the complex mathematical problem is called proof of work, and the process of adding a block to the blockchain is called mining. With this, Phil and Jack's wallets are updated, just like every person in the network who has completed a transaction.
Here, let's take a look at what the blockchain provides versus a traditional banking system. Banks and decentralized blockchains are vastly different. To see how the bank differs from the blockchain, we're going to take a comparison to the blockchain of Bitcoin's implementation and how traditional banks actually work. So here's just a few over here that you see with the features. For example, hours of operation. In banks, you have a typical brick and mortar bank that is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays, and some banks are open on the weekend, but you can find a lot of them they are closed and don't have operational hours. With the blockchain technology, there are no set hours and it is open 24/7, 365. Transaction fees. Now you see with the banks, you have card payments, and the fees here can vary based on the card, and it is not paid to the user directly. Fees are paid to the payment processors by storing and are usually charging per transaction. This effect on this fee can sometimes make the cost of goods and services rise. With the blockchain technology, Bitcoin has a variable transaction fee, and that's determined by the miners and the users. This fee can range from $0 to $50, but the users usually have the ability to determine how much the fee is that they're willing to pay. And this creates an open marketplace where if the user sets their fees too low, the transactions may not be processed. Now looking down here at the next feature, we see the transaction speed. Now, card payments can take anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, in some cases 72 hours, with checks as well. And ACH wire transfers can take up to the same amount of time. With the blockchain technology, it's instant, or it can be as long as 30 minutes or maybe even an hour.
A hacker will not be able to alter the data in the blockchain because each user has a copy of the ledger. The data within the blocks are encrypted by complex algorithms. All of this is made possible with the help of blockchain technology. Blockchain can be described as a collection of records linked with each other, strongly resistant to alteration, and protected using cryptography.
Well, family, we have some key takeaways here that we like to go over just to sum up all the information that we've digested and learned today about the blockchain. We learned that the blockchain is a specific type of database. It differs from a typical database in the way that it stores information. Its new data comes in as it is entered into a fresh block. And once this block is filled with data, it's chained into the previous block, which makes the data chain together in chronological order. There are different types of information that can be stored on the blockchain, but the most common use is so far has been for ledger transactions. In the case of Bitcoin, blockchain is used in a decentralized way so that no single person or group has control, rather all users collectively retain control. And lastly, the decentralized blockchains are immutable, which means that the data entered is irreversible. For Bitcoin, this means that the transactions are permanently recorded and viewable to everyone.
Walmart was facing problems in delivering quality products to its customers. They were facing a high return rate and large amounts of refunds due to their products' bad quality. They were unable to determine the point of failure in the supply chain, which started from farm to storage to transportation to processing all the way to the customer. Then, Walmart adopted blockchain technology. With blockchain, the quality of the goods at each step was permanently inscribed within a block. For example, when a customer flags a product as damaged, it can be correctly identified where the product got damaged in the entire supply chain, thus helping Walmart to identify the problem areas and fixing them. And this is just one of several ways blockchain is used in real-life application.
Family, hopefully you've gained some knowledge about the blockchain, how it works, and how transactions take place on the blockchain. And if you feel solid enough about the information that you've gained, if you can answer this question, what is the concept of blockchain that ensures data cannot be altered by any of the users within the network? If you can answer this question correctly and leave it down in the comment section, I will pick 2 random winners to email you a copy of my book, Crypto King Investor Starter Guide, to help you get started in your investment journey in crypto. So, can you answer this question correctly? If so, leave your answer down in the comment section. Family, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel, Crypto King. And down below, if you like or appreciate the content that's being presented on this channel, or if you gained any value from this channel that'll help you out with your crypto portfolio, why don't you go down in the comment section and leave a comment and hit that like button over here. And also tell a friend and share it with somebody in your workspace or somebody in your place of worship, so that way they can become more knowledgeable in the world of crypto, so they can make solid and valuable investment choices and decisions. Also, family, if you're a new subscriber to my channel, I'm also promoting for the next 7 weeks my new ebook. My ebook is a how-to guide for the beginning investor on how to get started in crypto and also capitalize or gain interest on your new asset. So, if you're a new subscriber, please make sure that you leave a comment down in the comment section or hit me on my email at CryptoKingCarlos@gmail.com and let me know you're a new subscriber, and I'll put you in a random drawing to be entered to win my new ebook, How to Get Started in Crypto. Family, if you have any questions or if you have anything that you would like for me to research on your behalf, please go ahead. Go down in the comment section. Leave a comment. Leave a question. I like engagement. It'll help me to stay on top of everything crypto, and it also help you make a solid decision when you're making your investments to build up your portfolio. So go ahead. Don't be afraid. Leave a comment. Leave a question. I won't bite, I promise. Family, that'll conclude this week's episode on what is a blockchain. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you was able to gain some value out of this week's discussion. Excuses are tools of incompetence used to build monuments of nothing. Those who specialize in them seldom amount to anything. There are no excuses. Never look down on anybody. And if you have to look down on somebody, look down on them to lift them up. We should always be lifting as we climb. Have faith. Don't quit. Be strong. Do all things in charity. I love you. Yeshua loves you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for tuning in to Crypto King.